8 News at 5 starts now.
Thanks for joining us. Breaking news. 2 people abducted at gunpoint from a gas station, forced them to drive to a bank. One of them then part of a police chase that ended in gunfire.
8 News has been following the story since it broke, and here's what we know right now. This all began when 2 people were abducted from a gas station at 26th and Main. The situation ended at 25th and O Streets.
8 News has multiple crews at those scenes. We want to start now with 8 News reporter Jonathan Costin. Jonathan?
That's right, Amy. Police are still here at the scene over my right shoulder. They are still investigating. This is where it all ended, where both a suspect and the victim were both shot. Police say it all started around 12:30 this afternoon when the suspect approached 2 victims at a gas station on East Main Street. He demanded money, but the victims had no money. Authorities say that's when the suspect pulled out a gun and made the 2 hostages drive him to a bank downtown. One hostage went inside the bank and called 911, and that's when the pursuit began throughout the city and the county. It all ended here on 25th in R Street.
The suspect who was sitting in the rear of that seat fired one time at our victim, striking the driver, the victim, once in the head. The individual suspect at that time turned and fired on our officers. Our officers returned fire, striking the suspect. Both the victim and the suspect currently was transported to a local hospital where they're being treated for life-threatening injuries.
Now, that getaway SUV did come to a stop here because it had 2 flat tires. Authorities tell us that's because Henrico County Police threw out spikes on the road, and that vehicle then crashed into a vehicle over here. Now, my colleague Mark Tenia has more on the unfolding events. Mark.
Yes, Jonathan, news of today's abduction from this gas station has residents who live around here feeling a little unsettled. We spoke to a witness who saw police speaking to a man at the Bank of America down the street. He says what happened next was a strange scene.
This car was pulled over, and they were asking him to roll the window, and all of a sudden you heard him yelling, roll down the windows, and then the SWAT team is on him.
Matt Nagel says shortly after noon today, he noticed police trying to talk to a man near 9th and Main Streets in the city. He says the man just sat there as police tapped on his window and asked him to roll it down. After the man refused to comply with the commands,
all these guys have their guns drawn, and he just slowly pulls off. And then it was kind of a little OJ chase scene.
Very concerning, obviously. We just moved here 2 months ago.
Irene Murphy lives across the street. She and her husband moved here from Northern Virginia. She says it's the first time in her life she hasn't lived in the suburbs.
Loved the city, loved Churchill, and thought we'd give the city a try.
Murphy says she goes to this gas station all the time, disturbed that something like this could happen in broad daylight.
It's kind of surprising that people get so brazen to do it right in the middle of the day. You know, I guess you're always concerned about when it's at night, but in the day, I think you may let your guard down a little bit.
Still, Murphy says she believes this could happen anywhere and doesn't plan on moving, but says she will have her guard up more closely after today's frightening ordeal. We spoke to another resident who also works downtown and was on lockdown. Her building was on lockdown while all of this was going on. We're here. What she has to say coming up tonight on 8 News at 6 o'clock. But for now, live in Richmond, Mark Tenia, 8 News.
And of course, you saw behind Jonathan, still an active scene out there. This is a story that is continuing to develop. We will be updating this as we have been all afternoon online, and we'll bring you the latest too on WRIC.com.
Also just in this evening, a bomb threat found in writing in a boys' bathroom at Petersburg High School. Police were called in to search that building around noon today. They didn't find anything. We're told the student responsible has not been discovered, or whoever is responsible, we should say, has not been discovered. We'll bring you more information on this case as it becomes available.
We want to turn now to the latest from France. Tonight, French President Francois Hollande says his nation is at war. He's asking for the state of emergency to be extended for 3 months.
Authorities have identified who they believe is the mastermind behind Friday's attacks, a 27-year-old Belgian man who fought for ISIS in Syria.
ISIS has now claimed responsibility for what's being called highly coordinated attacks by at least 10 suspects.
Yesterday, French warplanes struck the ISIS stronghold of Raqqa in northern Syria. The U.S. military says it destroyed 116 fuel trucks in Syria used by the Islamic State. Today, the Obama administration announced a new intelligence sharing arrangement with France.
There are going to be some things that we try that don't work. There'll be some strategies we try that do work. And when we find strategies that work, we will double down on those.
That suspect from Belgium, Salah Abdeslam, is still at large. 7 attackers died after killing 129 people.
A new propaganda video allegedly from ISIS warns of similar terror attacks in the U.S., namely Washington, D.C. The video warns that countries taking part in airstrikes against Syria would suffer the same fate as France. So far, the video's authenticity hasn't been verified, though. Meanwhile, security officials are expanding the police presence around the nation. Right now, nearly 1,000 investigations are underway in all 50 states. Most of them involve ISIS. And we're following stories where you live in the wake of those attacks that claimed more than 120 lives in France. Our 8 News anchor Avajoy Burnett continues our team coverage.
The deadly attacks in Paris shocked people around the world, including French citizens living right here in central Virginia.
It was horrifying when I saw what was happening.
Patricia Gilliward owns Carytown Teas. She couldn't believe what was happening in the exact neighborhood where she grew up.
To see all of these bodies laying down on the floor, on the ground, and knowing about the club where I used to go as a teenager. The Bataclan is very famous for concerts. I was in New York when we had the attack on the towers, and I never wanted anybody to go through that, but I know exactly what they are going through. It's terrifying, it's very sad.
Just 2 days after at least 129 people were murdered in the Paris attacks, France started bombing ISIS safe havens in Syria, an aggressive move that does not surprise this French native.
People in France, they are fighters, they will fight. The French anthem is a war song, you know. It's not like just a pretty song. It's actually, you know, a fighter and a war song. So they will definitely fight. We don't want our liberty to be taken away.
Gilliward had family members right in that area when the attacks started. Coming up on 8 News at 6, she tells us just how they're doing. Avajoy Burnett, 8 News.
Security measures here at home are expanding in the wake of the Paris terror attacks. In Los Angeles, the Rose Bowl is increasing staff and asking fans to leave bags at home. The NBA and NHL have teams on high alert. The NFL says its security will remain the same because the league is always at a heightened state of alert. Out of respect for French victims, flags will fly at half-staff at the White House and all federal buildings until sunset on Thursday. We're constantly getting new information on the terror attacks here at 8 News, and when we're not here on air, look for that continuing coverage on Facebook, Twitter, and at WRIC.com.
Back here in Virginia tonight, Governor Terry McAuliffe is reviewing compensation rules for victims of a controversial sterilization act. 8 News anchor Christina Furick is following new information now from our newsroom. Christina.
Well, 8 News first exposed this story almost 3 years ago. Thousands of Virginia residents robbed of their right to have a family. After that 3-year battle, the General Assembly approved a budget for victims of the Virginia Eugenical Sterilization Act. The GA has budgeted $400,000 to compensate the victims at a rate of $25,000 each. A deadline to develop the regulations is now winding down. The Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services was given 280 days to develop those compensation rules, which means Governor McAuliffe has until December 26th to sign those regulations. Of course, we will stay on top of this story for you. Amy?
Christina, a Richmond woman was found dead in the woods near her home overnight. Police say 33-year-old Ashley Davis was found fatally shot in the woods across the parking lot from her apartment building in St. John's Wood. No arrests have been made. Keep it here on 8 News for the latest developments.
A Henrico man charged with upskirting at a West End shopping center is facing even more charges this evening. Stephen Lewis is now charged with two counts, I should say, of possession of child porn. After his arrest in July, investigators started looking into his electronic devices where they say they found those disturbing images. Henrico police think the same man is behind 2 robberies at this BP gas station on Gaskins Road. In the latest case, they believe he had a gun. If you know anything about what happened here, call Henrico police. And to keep up with crime where you live, use Spot Crime. Just enter your address. You'll see everything from home invasions and shootings to car break-ins. You'll find a link to Spot Crime at WRIC.com.
Chesterfield police say this weekend's fire that damaged Reams Gordon Library is suspicious. Crews found 2 plastic pieces of piping behind the building on fire. The flames so intense, 2 of the building's windows shattered. The library is still under construction. News where you live in Petersburg. Ahead of the holiday shopping season, the sheriff's office is setting up a safe zone for those buying and selling on Craigslist. Deputies have set up designated areas in the back of the main office, as well as the sheriff's office lobby. You can use these areas between 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. And Petersburg parents, we're told, can also use these safe zones as safe places for child custody transfers. For instance, if a parent or caregiver needs to meet a spouse to drop off a child, this will be a safe option for them.
Chesterfield students have some homework this week for moms and dads. The school system's asking parents to fill out a federal impact aid survey. Digital versions in English and Spanish are available online. Your deadline, parents, is December 4th. You can find those surveys on links mentioned at WRIC.com. In Richmond, kids at Lucille Brown Middle School need your help to win a $100,000 STEM lab makeover. That's science and tech and engineering and stuff. They're among 20 finalists in a Northrop Grumman contest. 5 schools will get labs. Winners will be decided through Facebook voting, and the deadline for this is Thursday. We have a link to the Fab School Labs page, also at WRIC.com. Millions of lottery tickets are sold every year here in Virginia, and last year the lottery generated more than $500 million for education. So why are so many local school districts forced to do more with less and with fewer teachers?
We're seeing the lottery money, so to speak, not be icing on the cake, but we're seeing it become the cake itself.
Lottery money isn't being spent how you think. 8 News investigates tonight at 11. And coming up here on 8 News at 5, less than 3 years after its historic renovation, this theater needs a show-stopping financial boost to stay open.
Plus, what to expect when you're expecting. Are you generally a happy person? You might be able to predict if you're having a boy or a girl. John?
Well, here across central Virginia, mild weather this afternoon, still in the lower 60s for many of us. But another big storm is producing severe weather out west. There are tornadoes on the ground in Kansas right now. We'll talk about when it will bring you some rainfall coming up next.
And we have a live look outside at that sunset, looking pretty here in central Virginia. You're watching 8 News at 5, covering the news where you live.
From the James River down to the Appomattox, it's Monday in the capital city. Stay with us. There's more 8 News in just a moment.
Tomorrow on Good Morning Richmond, our teen coverage of the attacks in Paris continues. We're also investigating coffee tomorrow.
Yeah, you put a little cream in it, you really don't know how many calories you're getting. We're testing to find out. Plus, don't forget, another chance for that $800 grocery gift card. It's the easiest game in town. Good Morning Richmond, tomorrow morning, starting at 4:30.
We're back now with a live look at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. It has reopened now to visitors after being closed since last Friday's attacks. You see here the 116-year-old international symbol lit up in the colors of the French flag. That is to commemorate all of the victims of Friday's attack. We'll have continuing coverage of events there in Paris.
Here at home, 2 people pulled from a flight at Reagan National Airport on Sunday after the crew reported concerns about their behavior. All 115 people aboard that Boston-bound flight had to be evacuated while a dog searched the plane. The flight was eventually allowed to leave. The pair was questioned by police and released without charges. Hershey's is changing the recipe for 2 of its most popular chocolates. Kisses and Hershey's bars will now be made with real vanilla instead of an artificial flavor. The new chocolates started shipping a few weeks ago and are at stores as we speak. Kellogg's, Campbell's, and Kraft, also big food companies, reducing their artificial additives.
The race is on now to raise enough money to keep doors open at the historic State Theater of Culpeper. The nearly 80-year-old theater needs $400,000 in donations by December 31st. It reopened only a couple years ago after undergoing millions of dollars in renovations. Until now, it relied only on profits from ticket sales to stay afloat. Because of you, more than $423,000 has been donated to the Richmond Walk to End Alzheimer's.
Yeah, more than 1,500 people joined 8 News for the big annual event on November 7th.
This is huge. In total, 2,300 of our neighbors registered, donated, and held fundraisers. Despite the rain out there, everyone there walked with enthusiasm, lots of smiles for the cause.
As you can see, the walk is over, but you can still donate through December 15th. Help 8 News end Alzheimer's. You can donate right now at WRIC.com.
It really is incredible to see the crowd out there because that was a rainy morning.
And nobody held back at all. Actually, it was the same day as our ballpark warming party.
Yeah, it really was.
So we're calling for your help this evening, calling all coats, as we like to say. You can help keep area kids warm this winter. Just drop off your gently used jacket at any Puritan Cleaners location, I should say, and you'll help a local child in need.
We have to thank everybody for their help. And speaking of coats, you're definitely going to need one this winter. VDOT has about $12.2 million budgeted for snow removal this year. That includes 63,000 tons of salt, along with 24,000 tons of sand. Richmond alone has 2,500 pieces of equipment ready for snow and ice removal. John, we don't need it certainly today, but it is coming. We know the cold weather is coming around the corner.
Yes, the cold weather is coming, and eventually I think some wintry precipitation, but maybe not totally blasting us. Remember, the week Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, 11 o'clock, you will get my 30-second annual winter outlook for Central Virginia. Outside right now, though it's not winter-like, it's 61 degrees for us here, mid to upper 50s. It's already bottomed out. Over in Petersburg, down in Emporia, South Hill, they drop like a rock as soon as we hit sunset on the thermometers there. So they're headed down into the low 40s across the area. We've had clear skies over us here. Clouds beginning to move in. High clouds approaching this afternoon. There is some rain back to the west over Kentucky and Indiana, but it's drying up as it tries to head our way, but it will spread cloudiness over us tonight, so skies will turn partly cloudy. All the big actions out here coming out of the front slopes, Rockies, big heavy snow, Rocky Mountain States, blizzard warnings, northeastern Colorado. These storms swinging up through western Kansas. There are reports of tornado warnings, at least this one right there has a tornado on the ground right now. It's a big system swirling out of the Rocky Mountains, and it's a system that is going to, again, swirl up into the Great Lakes states. So that's going to pull warm air up over us, keep us mild for the next couple of days, but I'm looking at Wednesday night into Thursday, turning pretty wet for us here in Central Virginia. Mid-40s tonight, low to mid-40s across the area for the overnight low temperatures as clouds increase over us. So we'll look for basically dropping down about 49 degrees midnight. I think 43 is the overnight low temperature. During the day tomorrow, mixture of sunshine and cloudiness. We're back into the middle 60s. We stay dry across the area. So 66 degrees or so is going to be the high temperature. This is nothing to gripe about in the mid part of November. Here's the maps for you tomorrow. Again, these are all high clouds over us when we start the day off. So we'll have a mixture of sunshine and cloudiness, a few breaks in the afternoon. And then tomorrow night, you start to see some of this moisture coming in on northeasterly winds. As we head into Wednesday, we'll start to get moisture increasing over us. And on Wednesday, could be a random light shower as we head into the afternoon hours. Wednesday nights, when the rain's going to come, it's going to last into Thursday. And again, the potential by the time it's all done Thursday afternoon, over an inch possible in a few spots out here. So mild weather all the way through Thursday. Thursday, 70 degrees, kind of a sneaky temperature. And with temperatures cooling down a little bit on Friday and much cooler over the weekend for us here in Central Virginia.
Tonight at 6, continuing team coverage of the wild police chase in Richmond, what some folks saw as it raged through their neighborhood.
A sex trafficking bust in Chesterfield. We'll tell you what this man's accused of doing. And an area teen's heartbreaking open letter to his school is getting national attention. Find out why on 8 News at 6.
Welcome back. News where you live in Chesterfield County tonight. The school system's offering free concussion tests this week. Those tests establish a baseline for how the brain functions without a concussion in order to better learn when an athlete should return to play. The tests are going to be held at Monacan High School this Wednesday and Thursday between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m.
Moms-to-be, are you happy? There's more evidence now that you just may be having a boy. Researchers in South Africa looked at some events that happened over the past few years. There was a boom in male babies born in South Africa 9 months after it hosted the 2010 World Cup and all the celebrations during it. There was a decline, though, following the death of Princess Diana, the 9/11 terror attacks, and the Great Recession. Also here in the U.S., a noticeable dip in the births of boys around the 1991 and 2001 recessions. So it's something that the researchers say there could be a link between happiness, sadness, and the gender.
Yeah, this is not a scientific survey. Just, you know, sometimes this stuff just happens.
All in good fun,
Not necessarily a cause.
There are a lot of old wives' tales out there, too. So, you know, it's just something to think
It's
about.
all those old wives.
Yeah.
Time to look at your primetime lineup this Monday. We begin with 2 hours of Dancing with the Stars. At 10, catch Castle. Stay tuned. all the news where you live in the first 8 minutes of 8 News at 11 tonight.
And here's something else to look forward to. Your keyword of the day. Today it's West Hampton. Enter West Hampton at rewards.wric.com. Earn 2,500 points to play games or win prizes. And stay with us. There's more 8 News at 5 after the break.